Did Lake Ozark police go too far when they turned their dog loose? Good evening, I'm Angie Bailey.
And I'm Jim Rick. Thanks for joining us. In a Target 8 report, KOMU's Teresa Weberg looks into a man who allegedly fled the scene of a car accident and paid for that move with a pound of flesh.
Lake Ozark police say Daniel Curtis Johnson of Olean hit a parked car on Highway 54, then ran after an officer spotted him leave a gas station near the scene of the accident. Johnson admits he was in the crash, but says he didn't see the police and was trying to get to a friend's house to make a phone call. But it's what happened after Johnson left the gas station that has both sides on the defensive.
Keep saying he went down a hill behind the fence.
Her actual radio traffic, I believe, was that he ran off into the woods.
I didn't run across the street in the woods. I ain't never seen any cops say anything to me.
Two different versions of what happened in the early morning hours of March 31st of this year, both centering on Lake Ozark's only police dog, Yasko.
Go aboard!
LOPD Sergeant Dale Heiser used the dog to track Johnson that night.
Okay, I'll get my dog. I'll be down there.
But during the track, Heiser fell and hurt his knee. He says his injury was slowing Yasko's progress, so he let the dog off his leash. Target 8 spoke to two experienced dog handlers who say it's not uncommon to let a dog off its leash during a track, especially in an area of rough terrain.
After I let Yasko go, he went into the woods, and I just had to, the best I can, follow him up into the woods.
Heiser says Johnson had fair warning.
When I get on scene, that's the first thing I do. I get Yasko out of the car, and I again, announce that a canine's coming into the woods, and if he doesn't stop it, we're gonna come find him.
Police canine, stop where you're at! I'll send the dog! Don't move!
Johnson says he'd been walking for a while, so he sat down to rest in a nearby neighborhood. The next thing he remembers is seeing Yasko.
I looked up, and he come around the corner of the house. I looked up and seen him. Next thing I know, he's all over me.
Johnson remembers the struggle.
I hear town police. That's what I hear. I can't tell where it's coming from, but I hear it.
Well, I was trying to get him off for a little while, and then I thought maybe if I just laid, didn't move, he'd quit biting me or whatever. And I just tried to lay still, and that's when he bit a hold of my shoulder.
Johnson's injuries required a trip to the hospital and a surgical procedure. He had a gash on his chest and a chunk of flesh bitten out of his shoulder. Heiser says Yasko was just doing his job.
The best way to describe this is if there's not any aggressive action, Yasko's not going to take any aggressive action.
Johnson says he was just trying to protect himself and that the dog was out of control.
If he got a hold of my neck, who knows what would have happened. He took a chunk out of my shoulder down to the bone, so I don't think police dogs are supposed to be trained to do that.
There are no federal or Missouri state laws governing the use of police canines. Law enforcement rely on private organizations and kennels to certify handlers and dogs. The LOPD says it took appropriate action given the situation.
I believe they had 2 felonies at the time. And when people run, they're running for a reason.
Johnson was on probation, and a blood test shows he was over the legal limit for alcohol. But his attorney says that's irrelevant.
It doesn't matter the circumstances of the car accident. The way the dog was unleashed and sent after Daniel is egregious and wrong and unreasonable.
The LOPD says it's in the clear because Johnson fled the scene, and the department doesn't offer an apology.
Well, we take the responsibility in that we have to make sure that he gets the appropriate first aid treatment. So, that's why we called the fire department and he was transported to Lake Regional for treatment.
I don't want to see anybody get bit. That's not at all the situation. But if that's his job and that's the situation, then he knows his job and he knows when to do it.
But Johnson's attorney says an apology alone would not be enough.
The way the dog attacked Daniel, his injuries are significant. He's entitled to something more than just a handshake, and we're sorry that happened.
Because of his probation violation, Johnson is in prison for 7 years. But since he's been behind bars, this incident has caught the attention of the FBI. The agent I spoke with would not confirm the start date of the investigation, but says the report will soon go to the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. If the department finds the Lake Ozark Police Department violated Johnson's rights, its attorneys or the U.S. Attorney's Office could file charges. I'm Teresa Weberg, and that's a Target 8 investigation.
Teresa, thank you very much for that report. If you have a problem or concern you would like Target 8 to investigate, email us at target8@komu.com or call us at 573-884-NEWS.